Hi everyone, and welcome to season 7 of Behind Your Eyes. And in this season finale, episode 5, the lovely Leslie is my guest. So, hi Leslie, if you would like to introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, I'm in California right now, Los Angeles, a little city called LA.
Mm.
And I have been in health and wellness for over 26 years. I have a background in yoga, different styles of yoga, meditation, breath work, somatic experiencing, Pilates, and Ayurveda. So I have a big background toolbox.
Awesome, always good to
I'm
have.
also, I'm also an ex-tenured professor, so in the health and kinesiology department. So I've been around health and wellness for a very long time.
Mm. Well, I always start with the same question, and that is a sincere, how are you doing?
Today I'm doing well. It is Monday morning early. So I'm just waking up. But this morning I'm doing okay. I feel like there was actually a book about Monday mornings, and what you do Monday morning really affects your entire week. So
Mm.
I'm one to the night before Sunday night, I always, make sure I'm organized in the morning so it doesn't feel like I don't know what to do when I start.
Mhm.
Like my clothes are out or my food is ready, or you know what I mean, that things
Yeah,
are set, because I
yeah.
feel like Monday mornings are very important. So I'm doing okay. I feel like I'm organized. I know what I'm doing next.
Mhm.
It's good.
You're in the flow.
I'm in the flow.
Yeah, that's
And I'm
always
with
good.
you. So like, could it be bad? No.
But I read on your website that for years you allowed yourself to play small and that your personal needs would go unfulfilled. So how would that show up in your life and how did that start? Would you tell a bit more about that?
I mean, it probably started when I was born. Being in my father is Argentinian, and so he was born there and then immigrated here. And then they met in their late teens, my mom and my father, and they were together for like over 30 years.
Mhm.
But we definitely had I had a very chaotic childhood. So there was a lot of difficulties growing up. I had a really hard time. And also in LA, I've always felt like I've never really fit in here.
Mhm.
So it's a very artificial city. There's
Right.
some wonderful, I have good friends. There's some beautiful things about it, but there's also, we have Hollywood here. So it's a very artificial city. We're kind of known for our Botox. It's
Mhm.
just a very artificial place. So I'm more organic.
Mhm.
So I never actually fit in here. So I would say that especially being around people who had very, certain ways of being, I had to learn, I did play small for a long time, and I even dated narcissists for a while. I think sometimes empaths and sensitive people, like they sometimes end up trying to help a narcissist, not realizing they're doing that.
Yeah.
So I definitely winded up dating one for a long time, and I let him kind of choose things for me
Mhm.
instead of like choosing for myself. And that was, I'm in my 40s now. We're talking about like early 20s.
Mhm.
Uh, but hopefully as you get older and hopefully you're seeking like I did,
Mhm.
you come out of that and you start to realize you need to come first and your dreams need to come first, and to really work on your own stuff. It was not easy. I'm saying, I think
Yeah.
sometimes in the spiritual community we can get very oh, just do this affirmation and you're okay,
Mhm.
or how did you create this? And can I cuss on here? Is that okay?
Oh yeah. Go
I
for
think
it.
it's total fucking bullshit. Like sometimes shit happens and
Mhm.
you're human
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
hard, and you have to learn to navigate. Well, you don't have to, but hopefully you learn to navigate that and recognize, okay,
Yeah.
what is my role in this? What do I have control over? You know, they're being who they are,
Mhm.
and you can't control that. So like what you
Yeah.
control is you, but you also have to work through your feelings. So I think especially in this moment, I've had to really relearn over and over again that my feelings matter,
Mhm.
and that sometimes when I'm having an intuitive experience of something,
Mhm.
I need to deeply listen to it. Like
Yeah.
I'm getting a message. It's important. That
Yeah.
message is just as important as someone else's message. And
Mm.
every once in a while, I'll have to be like, okay, pause.
Mhm.
You need to hear this again. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like a retraining over and over again of myself. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Because I think when you don't listen to that voice, it comes back up again. It comes back up. It wants your attention. It demands your attention, like a small kid
Every
wants.
time.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it'll come back as like for a while for myself. And I think this is where, you asked how this really like
Hmm.
I ended up with like pretty intense health problems in my 20s. Like
Hmm.
just like I ended up with digestive issues. I ended up an insomniac. I ended up with like pain, physical pain, like all of these things ended up manifesting itself. Like I started having physical symptoms of stuff.
Yeah.
And when I started really deeply diving into those, realizing they're actually psychosomatic, they were emotional. It was an
Yeah.
emotional response to stress,
Yeah.
that a physical emotional response to stress. That's when I realized you got to listen to yourself, girl. Like you got to
Mhm.
start really paying attention or you're going to get sicker.
Yeah.
And that's why I do this with my clients, because I'm like, it seems like sometimes, and to be fair, sure, we got injured, great, like it's a neck issue, you're getting headaches, I get it, like I understand,
Yeah.
no, total compassion. And then sometimes it's not that, it's actually stress and you're not paying attention to actually what's happening, and
Hmm.
we need to look at that so that we can move through it, and that,
Yeah.
and then suddenly you're out of pain.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's a miracle.
Yeah. But it's crazy how we underestimate what stress can do to our body and how ignoring that we think it would just magically go away.
It's unbelievable. I mean, there's certain clients I don't take on because
Mm.
I mean, especially if I can't help, I'll refer them out probably, but because I know my limits,
Right.
right? I definitely for a while there did not know my limits, but now at this point, after 26 years, one would hope you know your limits. I do.
Yeah.
And some people would actually prefer just surgery or just like a shot or something and like not do the work behind it. And that's
Yeah.
their choice, right? We all have choices, but
Yeah.
that's actually probably my final last choice. I will do
Yeah.
almost anything else
Yeah.
to heal myself or my help my clients. So everything I do is holistic for that reason, because
Mm.
I think sometimes we can over medicate
Right.
and over, surgery things. It doesn't get to the root of the problem. Sometimes those things
Yeah.
even come back even after surgery, even after the shot, even after, because you
Yeah.
didn't deal with the problem.
Yeah. And I think it can be frustrating when you meet a client like that and you say, oh, just give me some medicine and or a surgery and I'll be fine. But it's like, oh, that's not going to help you. But on the other side, you have to respect their journey. Yeah.
Totally. Well, it's you can invite them to the door.
Yeah. But
You
they
can't
have to step
force them
in.
to open it. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
at the same time, some people I think get really scared that if they slow down, because I think learning to deeply rest and
Mhm.
find deep peace within ourselves
Yeah.
is really one of the most healing things you can do in this life.
Mhm. But it can also be quite confrontational, I think, for a lot of people.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It can be extremely difficult because when you slow down and you start to realize, oh,
Ooh, that's what's going on.
that's what I closeted. That's what I put on the shelf. That's what I put
Yeah.
under the rug. That's what
Yeah.
I have a collection now of stuff that I've disorganized
Yeah.
that I put
Like
over
a messy
here.
closet. Yeah.
And when you slow down, you go, oh crap, like I need to
Mm.
actually clean my inner closet.
Yeah.
It's like spring
Exactly.
cleaning.
It's pretty messy. Yeah, I would love to also know what your healing journey looked like. How did it start for you?
Oh, we don't have time to go into that whole thing. It definitely started with the being ill. I was already a yoga teacher at the time, so I started teaching yoga at like 20.
Mhm.
Now I'm 40, I should say I'm 46. I have no problem saying my age. I'm 46 now. When I was 20, I started teaching yoga, and like I had little injuries, and like so I started to study all these different styles. I got into a bad car accident, so it took me to Pilates, and then I was meditating. I had just a lot of emotional pain I was going through from like stuff from my family, so I started doing a lot of stuff around, you know, food health, like Ayurvedic stuff, meditations, and really trying to get myself to to get to a place. I mean, I got so sick, I ended up at the hospital. I mean, you know what I mean? It was just so bad. And the
Yeah.
guy's like, you're just, I mean, I went to the hospital. You're thinking, okay, you're going to give me something because
Yeah.
I'm
Fix me.
sick, do something. He's like,
Yeah.
I think you just need to drink chamomile tea. Thanks, I think. Um, so that's what he told me basically. So, I mean, I ended up reading books. I sought out one of my teachers. He's a famous author here. His name is Jack Cornfield. I don't know if you know him.
Mhm. Mhm.
He's a meditation teacher here,
Okay.
and he wrote quite some books. And I read his book, and I literally like sought him out
Mhm.
personally. And I started working with him in my 20s. I started like meditating with him, and he really helped me. And then I started it just kept growing and growing.
Mhm.
But then we were, unfortunately, in the States, we have issues with guns.
Mhm.
And being a professor at a school, we had a
Mhm.
shooting.
Oh no.
And so I needed more tools to work with PTSD and anxiety, holistically, because I was getting people, I mean, 7 people were killed, unfortunately.
Mhm.
And so, when things like, I know it's horrible, but
Yeah.
when things like this happen, right, like a car accident or like a shooting or whatever, like one of my clients is having another issue. What I
Mhm.
ended up, and like I was having sleep issues, what ended up happening was I would do another training or another training or another training to make sure that I had enough tools to help
Right.
someone.
Yeah.
And so I ended up becoming a practitioner of somatic experiencing.
Mhm.
And that helps people, I help people regulate their nervous system,
Mhm.
um, and work with, I don't like to work with intense traumas at this point. I used to, not now. But, mild PTSD, stressors, anxieties, sleep issues, those stuff's really easy for me to work with
Mhm.
holistically. I've gotten people actually off of medicine within like a few weeks.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, because I'm recently now learning about, of course, the mind-body connection more, because I
Mhm.
was always a person who would live totally in my mind and
Mm.
neglect my body. And could you tell me more about like the essence of that connection and that it's especially for us women so important to focus more on our body?
Well, I think unfortunately, I'm not sure what the culture is like for
Mhm.
you as a female in your culture and in your
Mhm.
country. I'm not sure what that's like, but I can speak for mine.
Mhm.
And
Of course.
in mine, it's very there's a beautiful quote that said it's James Joyce, Mr. Duffy lived a few feet away from his body.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel that our culture is actually trained
Mhm.
to do that. We're trained to be over here. And it's in essence, that's a sense of a dissociation,
Mhm.
a way of being in freeze. And for women, especially, um, I got into I'm gonna go on a sidetrack. I'll come right back.
Mhm.
There was a man I was speaking to recently. He's a fitness expert who does nutrition and caloric deficits and blah, blah, blah to help someone lose weight. I think that's really important for certain issues. I
Mhm.
do. However, for many women here who
Mhm.
have any issue with food, they're going to be extremely obsessive around that caloric deficit. It's going to be actually
Mhm.
really problematic. It could possibly cause more like anorexia issues, or, you know what I mean? Like we get a
Yeah.
little bit too much with this fasting thing that's going on right now.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's starvation. We're like starving ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
Let's make ourselves smaller. You
Yeah.
asked that earlier, right? Let's make ourselves smaller. How
Exactly.
versus how do we make ourselves healthier?
Yeah.
Those are big differences. How do we
Yeah.
make ourselves healthier and stronger versus smaller, petite, right?
Exactly.
So I
Yeah.
think that alone, our relationships with food, our health, our body, all of those things, especially as we get older, because in my culture, the
Mhm.
older the woman gets, she's not valued. I mean,
Mhm.
she's literally, you see it in Hollywood all the time, like
Yeah.
these 50, 70-year-old men or something, their love interest has become like 25. Um, versus like in England, when you see
Mhm.
the main characters, some of them are in their 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. I'm like, wow, you guys have like older women as your main characters. This is great.
Yeah.
Um, and they have wrinkles and they look awesome. But like
Yeah.
in my country, it's like they're all like this, and they all look like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a trauma around that. I think that
Mhm.
there's a deep, we need to learn to, and this is something I'm working on myself sometimes too. I'm getting older, that
Mhm.
there's this sense of what can I do now to take care of my body and my heart and my,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, in my way that makes sense. This is what I do with clients, right? Like how do we become our inner guide to do that? Did I answer the question? Did
Hmm.
that make, okay.
Oh yeah. Keep
Okay.
going.
Great. But that's, I think it's a trauma thing, right? It's a
Right.
dissociation. I think a lot of our culture, unfortunately, is in freeze right now. I think
Yeah.
the pandemic also caused this. I
Oh
think
yeah.
even
For
people,
sure.
whether they think it affected them or not, I think there's a sense of dissociation and trauma around this. And
Hmm.
whether they're ignoring it or not,
Hmm.
there's going to be what it brought up stuff around our own immortality. So
Hmm.
if you have a hard time with that,
Hmm.
whether you know it or not,
Yeah.
there's something there that has affected us all in a very deep way, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And how do you think, like, why do you think it's still like ingrained in a lot of women to put themselves last and take care of others first?
Oh man. One thing about the other thing, and I'll come back, in my world, your gut is your first brain. So
Hmm.
it's that gut instinct, right, is so important to learn, because that actually will bring us into the, for women, when they connect to that, when they deeply connect to their gut. I think most of us have a really hard time with our stomachs, like our
Yeah.
guts.
Hmm.
Um, then it'll help us get more intuitive, more intuitive. Can you ask that question one more time for me, please? Just so I
Yeah,
can
of
hear.
course. I said, like, why do you think that it's still so ingrained in a lot of women that we put ourselves last and take care of others first?
Probably because in our world, being a mom is one of the most important things. And
Hmm.
there was actually a research study that showed that mothers work 98 hours a week.
Wow. Oh
That's
my God.
including weekends. That's a 14-hour workday. That's if they are only full-time moms and not even full-time workers, which quite a
Yeah.
few women are.
Oh
So that
gosh.
means
Yeah.
it's more.
Yeah.
So if they're working that much, well, that's a scientific research study, right?
Hmm.
So if they're doing 98 hours of work a week and being sort of like pushed to only be a mom,
Hmm.
they're
Yeah.
kind of being forced to put themselves to the side. But I'm also
Mm.
noticing this with women who don't have kids, that
Hmm.
they're putting all their energy into their work and they've become kind of obsessed about it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure exactly the exact reason for it. I think partially it's this mother socialization we're being forced to do. I mean, because there's such a backlash for women who don't have kids.
Hmm.
There's such a
Yeah.
backlash.
Hmm.
And if you don't want them, there
Yeah.
should be nothing wrong with that. Like that should not be, like who, it's
Yeah.
fine. So you're
I,
taking care of
I
yourself.
know how
That's
it
great.
feels. Yeah.
What would you say?
I know how it feels. I'm in my 40s and I don't have kids, so yeah.
Right. And it's like, why,
Yeah.
it's fine. Like, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
It's fine. It's a
Yeah.
choice. It's, whether it just happened that way or what,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
what's interesting is there was another study that
Mhm.
showed the happiest person. I'm not sure if it was the US or the world, so bear with me. I
Okay.
think it was the US, that the happiest person here is the
Mhm.
single woman who has no children. She is the happiest. And
Wow.
so I thought that's so interesting, right? You have this research of 98 hours a week, and there's this
Yeah.
push to be a mom. And yet there's this other study that's like, if you're a single woman with no children, you're the happiest.
Oh, you're happy. Yeah. That's saying something. Yeah.
That's saying so there's something, but see, that's also like, that's a woman who's probably starting to try to learn to put herself first.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly.
We're
And
so
yeah.
historically not doing that.
Yeah. And how essential is it to like express ourselves authentically in what we truly need?
Oh, yeah. I always say, put yourself on your schedule.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of putting yourself on your schedule, follow, Joseph Campbell always said, follow your bliss, like
Hmm.
follow your bliss, wherever you find that, where your heart gets warm and, like follow your bliss,
Hmm.
and what lightens you up, what brightens you up, what makes you happy,
Hmm.
where's the energy? Where's the
Yeah.
energy the most?
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what you need to follow. I feel like that with friends too, though. Don't you feel that
Hmm.
that
Oh
way
yeah.
with people?
Oh,
There's just,
absolutely. Yeah.
right? Like there's just certain friends that you're just like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like being with you is great. And then
Yeah,
there's certain
yeah.
people you probably met in your life where you're just like, oi.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have to put up my boundaries here.
Where's the sage?
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, oh yeah. I have those people around as well, but I keep my boundaries firm and I'm like, okay, you can stay here, but when I want to kick you out, I will kick you out.
totally. I unfortunately am related to some of those people. So I'm like, I could handle about an hour. I can handle about an hour. You get an hour, and then I need
Yeah.
to go. Some of them I wish it could be like 20 minutes, but I give them an hour
That's
and then I
pretty
gotta
short,
go.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Unfortunately, I have quite a few of those in my family. But
yeah.
yeah, there's
Boundaries and setting limits. Oh yeah. That's
it's so fun.
yeah, sometimes I just have to say like, okay, I have half an hour for you, and then I have an appointment. I don't have an appointment, but she doesn't have to know.
I love it. That's
That's just
fantastic.
self-care, self-care. Woo.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I've actually this last year, I actually had, I might tear up on this one, but the last like 21, 22, like 2021, 2022, I had 4 friends die.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so hard. Really powerful women who were just like
Mm,
all ages, like from 102 to like 42. Like they all like it was really intense, but they were all really important to me and they all
mm,
like passed. But I
mm,
also, that being said, because of my own growth, I realized there were some friendships that I needed to let go of. So
mm. Yeah,
I started walking away and going, you know
yeah,
what, actually, even 20 minutes is too much now. I
yeah.
can't anymore.
And it's quite painful. I have a similar situation with a friend who has been in my life for almost 14 years, and wasn't working anymore. I was growing spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and she was still stuck, and she wasn't growing. And I'm like,
Totally.
I have to let go. I cried. It was like a grieving process, but I had to for myself, for my own mental health and well-being. I had to let her go.
I can relate to you. That's
Mm,
actually exactly one of the things that happened to me. And it almost felt like a death because it
yeah.
was like, okay, but at the same time, you know, that moment, right? Where it
Hmm.
feels it's like that listening to yourself. You could have
Yeah.
overridden yourself.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
could have overridden myself too.
Yeah.
You can't really do that with death. Death is like pretty, it's there.
Yeah.
But with this situation, I actually tried to override myself for a good 8 months.
Hmm.
But then could you relate to that? Like
Yeah.
I kept trying, I kept trying. And then it got to a
Yeah.
point where I was like, whoa, I'm done. I
Yeah.
can't even see my hands like this is my boundary. I was like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I'm
It's
done.
fine.
Bye-bye. I can't anymore. You're
Yeah.
like a black hole. I can't be in this black hole with you anymore. This is
Yeah.
your black hole. This is
Yeah.
not my black hole.
Exactly. You can sit in it if you want. I'm not joining you anymore.
Yeah, I'm not if you want to be in this like rain cloud, this is
Yeah.
yours. Like I've
Yeah.
decided to be in the sun.
Exactly. Exactly. And I
Yeah.
would love to know like what is at the core of what you teach women.
Oh, pillars of wellness.
Hmm.
We need to look at the pillars of wellness. Am I eating well? Am I
Hmm.
balanced? Is my time balanced?
Hmm.
You know, am I work life? Am I working too much?
Hmm.
Am I am I pleasure? You know, am I meditating to do something for my psyche? Like
Hmm.
very simple, basic things. Am I listening to my heart? Am I noticing? Am I being present and self-aware? I think self-awareness is so important because sometimes
Hmm.
I listen to people and I'm like, you know, we need to be self-aware. It's
Hmm.
the only way. I think women have, not all women, of course, but a lot of women have a lot of anger.
Hmm.
And I think we're taught to be sugar and spice and everything nice, which is bullshit. So, you know, if we can own our anger in a healthy way
Hmm.
and recognize it so we don't puke it on other people,
Yeah.
I think that would be a really powerful experience for all of us. I think we would actually have more friends. I think people would be friends more. We would be able to, because your unconscious crap wouldn't be coming out at other people.
Right.
So, really learning to navigate all emotion,
Hmm.
and learning to, and this is what I do with all these things I do with my clients. Like, are you eating well? Are you meditating? Are you moving in the right way? Sometimes we're
Hmm.
not even moving the right way. Like we're
Yeah.
doing, you know, we're not doing the right yoga or the right exercise we need for our bodies. So, you
Right.
know, these kinds of pillars we need to be doing regularly to take care of our temple of our
Mhm.
body.
Yeah, and I remember what you said at the start of our interview, where you said like a lot in the spiritual community, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, just do some meditation, say some few affirmations, and you're fine." But it's essential to acknowledge how you feel and express those negative emotions and not label them as okay, they're bad, so I have to push them away
Right.
because they keep coming back. If you don't want to, if you push them down, they keep coming back up until you acknowledge them and release them.
And then recognize that, instead of like, they're really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They're really uncomfortable, but recognize them. It's just energy.
Hmm.
You're just feeling a certain energy. What does that energy feel like? Like
Yeah.
anxiety feels like X, right? Maybe it's like a rumbling in your tummy. Maybe
Mhm.
it's, how big is it? Is it a
Yeah.
ball? Is it like a golf ball? Is it, what is it?
Right.
Explore it and then explore the energies around it, because there are always two energies coinciding at once. So
Mhm.
it's going to be anxiety, but then there's also going to be pieces of you that are just
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah, exactly. There's always like this polar opposite. Like when there's anxiety, there's also calm. And yeah.
Exactly, but we need support in it. So I think
Mhm.
sometimes we feel like we have to do it on our own. And I think
Mhm.
that's where, like, women putting themselves to the side, we
Mhm.
need to be able to, I think it's important to ask for help and recognize. I ask for help when I need it.
Yeah. And there's
Even
nothing shameful
now,
about it.
even
Yeah.
though I'm a professional in this, like there are moments where I'm like, actually, I need my mentor.
Yeah.
So, sometimes we need to ask for help and
Mhm.
recognize it's okay for me to pay for those things. It's okay
Mhm.
for me. It's not just luxurious, it's
Yeah.
necessity. It's
Yeah.
actually essential.
Yeah. It's essential for your well-being and your mental health.
And all your relationships really, and all your even your income, right? If you're if
Mhm.
you're um if you're, let's say, like a practitioner like me or something, right? And you're not doing your own work, and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you've become an empty well, like with no water. You have
Yeah.
nothing to give.
You
You're
have
gonna,
nothing to
you're gonna
pull
basically
from.
be trying to give, and you're just gonna be like, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, yeah, you have to fill your own cup first. I mean, it's a cheesy saying, but it's so true.
It's so true.
Yeah,
It's so true. I agree. I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. And how do you think we can embrace our feminine energy more?
Oh, yeah. Same thing, like taking care of our body temple, like making
Mhm.
sure you're putting yourself first, and that way it's on your schedule. You do
Yeah.
it first. It depends on what you like. I'm a first thing in the morning person. I
Hmm.
want to get up, I want to do my practices, I want to get it done with so that I can go to my next thing. But
Hmm.
for some people, they don't like that. So find a time that makes sense in your schedule, that makes
Yeah.
sense for you.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm one for I love this. Like I love these two things that I think are really great.
Mhm.
Well, three. It depends on what you like. I'm always about, I eat dessert.
Hmm.
I don't say, so sugar sometimes is fine, but I
Hmm.
love dark chocolate. So like,
Yeah.
let your health stuff have that sometimes. It's fine. It's if
Yeah,
it's all the time that it becomes a problem.
exactly.
Um, Dance. I think it's good to shake things out.
Oh, yeah.
Dance, put on a song and just shake it out. I think that's really important. I also think that if you, especially with the feminine,
Hmm.
if you have to work, let's say you have a job or, whatever it is, whatever you're doing, and you have to wear something super conservative,
Hmm.
I think it would be super fun for yourself to get the
Hmm.
sexiest lingerie possible
Oh,
and wear
yeah.
it underneath
Yeah.
and then go to work. But
Mhm. You know what's
underneath,
over there.
you're wearing some hot, sexy thing for yourself, like some
Yeah.
yummy red magenta or whatever the hell you like, and just wear it underneath. You know what I mean? Don't just do the
Yeah.
granny underwear. Like wear really beautiful lace. Like treat yourself to that because we
Yeah.
deserve it. Our body is a temple. It needs to be
Yeah.
adorned. I also think
Yeah.
jewelry, like if you like that, like wear it. I'm wearing these
Yeah.
big earrings. I like big earrings,
Yeah.
so
I like the blingy ones.
yeah, those are cute. I like the red. They go with your hair perfectly.
Yeah. Thank you.
But you know what I mean? And celebrate that. Also, I think with other women in relationship to them,
Mhm.
when we can be so critical of each other. So
Mhm.
maybe like look at someone and be, and recognize what's good in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell them, wow, I
Mm.
love your, like I
Yeah.
just did, I love your earrings. They look great with your hair.
Yeah.
What's beautiful about you? I think if we
Mhm.
celebrate our curves
Oh,
a
yeah.
little bit more here,
Yeah.
this would be a very different world.
Mm. And what is your favorite way of self-care?
Oh, I love so many things. Daily or in general?
In general?
I love to go to the redwoods.
Mm.
So
Oh.
I feel that the redwoods
Mm.
is really healing, and that it feels like you're in it feels like you're taken care of. Like the minute you walk in these huge trees with
Yeah,
these, and actually I go to a place where the ocean's right there, so you hear the ocean, but like you're in this redwood forest, and
that's amazing. Yeah.
it is amazing, and you just feel like, oh, I'm breathing. Like
Mm.
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm fine. That's a very big resource for me.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah, you're like you said, you feel like you're taken care of as if you're given a hug by nature.
Totally. You do.
Mm.
You breathe better, right? Because of these huge,
Yeah.
you could feel the energy of it. It's very grounding. It's very rooted, and you feel just so centered. And then what I'll do is after I go to the redwoods, I'll go hang out with the sea lions at the ocean. And there's all these sea
Yeah.
lions,
Yeah.
and they're all like families hanging out and swimming around, and it's like I mean, they're all like cuddled up, you know. It's so cute and sweet and
Yeah.
communal, and
Mm.
it's beautiful. It's my
Well, I
favorite
think I
thing.
already know the question to my final answer. To my final question, the answer is like, what is when are you at your happiest? Is what I always ask last.
Oh, it's that's definitely one of the places I'm at my happiest. But
Mm.
I'll give you a different answer though. But that's definitely one of the places I'm at
Mhm.
my happiest. It's probably I used to live in that area, and it was just magical.
Mhm.
I um I have animals here,
Mhm.
and they are just the most cuddly, sweetest things. And I feel like even though I mean that I have a very quiet place to live in LA, which is unusual. You don't always
Mhm.
find a quiet place with trees outside. So I lucked out in the apartment world.
Yeah.
But I love hanging out with the animals and listening to music with them, and
Mhm.
just like hanging out. That is always a very happy place for me too.
Mhm.
But also good friends. Nothing like a
Yeah,
good friend.
exactly. Good conversation.
Totally. Like now. It's always nice to have a good conversation.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for today and for joining me, Leslie. It was really wonderful to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you too.